to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, 43-year-old professional wrestler. I don't got much longer to be saying that 43 number, Zack Primetime Reeb, and I am joined alongside, as always, my podcast partner, my life podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul. Isadora. Oh, and Paul, how are you doing on this very early Sunday morning as always?
Oh, doing good, man. We had some new students yesterday at our training school. So we had a guy that came in. The way that he described himself, I was hoping it was going to be a Sergio Santana type. Said he had been training for he'd been wrestling for 15 years. He hadn't wrestled for 5 years, with COVID, and just wanted to come in and get the ring rust off. So, the guy shows up, and you just don't know what to expect, right? So, they're going through progressions, and there's another brand new guy. You actually met the brand new guy as well. He was helping out. The guy that was very, very over the top excited just to be there.
Garfield.
Garfield,
baby.
Yeah, that's right. So he came for his first official session. It's just awesome to have somebody that is very enthusiastic and wants to be there, and can't wait to hand you their money and sign their waiver and get in the ring and all these things. And it's one of those deals where it kind of brings back, if I wasn't passionate enough, man, it just brings that back and fires you up. And you got another guy that's just like thirsting for knowledge. So it was a cool session. You got Devin kind of leading the charge, showing the guys the progressions, and giving a little bit of his own spin on different things, why you would do something, and throwing a little jiu-jitsu stuff in there. This is why you would do this.
Who's it?
Gildark, your buddy.
Devin.
Your buddy. Yeah. He asked me for my phone number, and I was like, oh shit, I'm surprised that he didn't already have it. But so he calls me, and I didn't remember this, but when it pops up on my phone, it says a viral plague. And I don't know if that was like a wrestling name of his or whatever, but that's how his number came up on my phone as viral plague. So I don't know if it was like, hey, I got my gimmick, bro.
Bussin',
bro.
Bussin', lit, crispy. Man, you wipe that phone up because it's quick. This episode's about to be crispy. This episode's about to be fire and lit. What's up to the new generation? What? Before we get going on that, we literally just sent each other video.
Right.
And I hope that Buck can edit it into the programming. But down at Knox Pro, Quentin Rampage Jackson's son, Raja Rampage Jackson, had slid in the ring and picked up a rather large professional wrestler. I don't know which one it was. And over his head, and slammed him down. And you could tell the slam knocked the man either goofy or unconscious, because the back of his fucking head struck off the canvas. And then he proceeded to mount him and throw lefts and rights. He mixed up. What I loved about when he hit the unconscious man was that he was mixing up the combinations on the mount on the unconscious man, like the guy might defend it, which his hands never came up, but he was like, and then he backed up and was like, right, left, right, and he was mixing up his mounted combinations on an unconscious man. And I just want to say, I was reading the comments. I like seeing dumb shit, and then I like reading the dumb shit comments from the guys who have never stepped foot in a situation like that. And one thing I thought in my head was, if you want to know how that situation works in a pro wrestling match, if you're trying to build an angle, there you go. I mean, the referee's like, what the freak do I do? And there was a couple guys, like one guy came up and he grabbed him and then was like, oh,
This guy's
maybe
solid.
I don't think he's going anywhere right now. Like, and then that's why we lock up, right? Because you might lock up with a fucking turd burglar like that who's out of control and be like, oh, fuck, this guy's really coming at me. I better, we're going tonight, right? And then a couple guys, like some guys were stepping through the ropes, and then one big guy came in, another worker who was dressed down, and he grabbed him, and he was a big guy, right? And he goes to yank him to the ground, and they start falling to the ground, but then the guy hits the mat, and obviously Raja Jackson comes out and is ready to fire away, and they cut the video off, and you can hear the camera guys like, "Get somebody, stop him!" And it is a serious situation because this is Rampage Jackson's son. This is a real fucking fighter, right? Like, this kid will really, regardless, he picked this large man up over his head and dumped him down. And all I could think about was like, Rayshawn was down there at Knox Pro. And then I think Alex Ice was down there, And these are situations that we try to tell the guys, like, hey, man, I tell my guys all the time, I train you to wrestle this way, not just to wrestle each other, but so you can go and wrestle other people. But I am so glad that I came up in the business the way I did, because you learn to defend yourself in that situation. And if the guy knows what he's going up for in a shoot, getting slung around in the shoot Alabama 180 Alabama slammer, maybe he doesn't knock himself out, and maybe he's alert enough. But then I saw in the comments that he must be talking to his dad, and he's going, yeah, they told me to really throw the punches for real. I hope he throws punches back. And I'm like, man, that's negligence. We talk about it verbatim at negligence, man.
Right.
And anytime you just throw some random person out there, I mean, let's check their mental health. Let's not really tell an MMA fighter that you can hit me for real, because there's no defense. Like, I'm pretty sure the guy was like, yeah, when you throw me on the, if it wasn't a shoot, he's like, throw me on the ground and then go for it, and I'll protect myself. Right. But he's unconscious.
Right.
So, like, this was the first thing I saw this morning, and I was like, I got to send it to Paul. We're about to start. And then I saw it come back to me, and I was like, the link was underneath, and I'm like, okay, let's get going. And then I asked if you saw it, and you're like, I did. What are your thoughts when you wake up at fucking 5 a.m. and the first thing you see is one of the deadliest mixed martial artists of all time's crazy ass son, who I've seen in his viral clips, do this to a wrestler just down the road here with our buddies at Knox Pro?
Yeah, it caught me off guard, because it's like you expect pro wrestling to be a worked shoot, maybe, like, and all of a sudden you see the guy get slammed, and I was like, oh, he didn't land very safely, right? He didn't take a good bump right there. And then all of a sudden you see the dude mount him and start punching him like he's unprotected, just taking shots. And the referee is standing there, and it's like, dude, why don't you jump in there and stop that, like, immediately? Yeah, at first I thought it was someone who had just jumped in the ring, right? You see this all the time. Like, someone thinks, oh, I don't like fill in the blank character, and I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to, try to grab him or try to hurt him or whatever. That's what I thought. I thought it was just some fan that had slid in the ring and grabbed this guy. And I was like, dude, why is this guy letting the fan pick him up and slam him?
There was no let there.
So yeah, so you just see the guy
No,
get slammed, and then it's just like just
you know where
raining bad punches. Yeah.
that situation would have been contained right away if a certain referee would have been in there handling business. And I think you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He,
If
the lawman would have been
if
holding it down.
if the
Hey.
60-year-old six-pack legend Larry Cabarol would have been in that ring, Rampage Jackson's son wouldn't have stood. Two things would have happened. Either Raja Jackson wouldn't have stood a fucking chance, or Larry would have took his first L of the circus season. You know what I mean?
Very true. Yes, I don't know. It was just it was a shocking thing to see first thing, because first you see the the aprons and you go, oh shit, I know where that's at. It's got the
Yeah.
Knox Pro on there. I was like, I know
Yes.
where that's at. And then I'm just like, dude, what is going on? Why are these people not protecting this wrestler? Because I thought, like, a fan jumps in the ring, it's the open season, right? You're gonna have the locker room clear out and they're gonna kick the shit out of this guy. But then you realize the guy that's causing the damage is a legit badass, and nobody wants to put their hands on him because they don't want to get caught with one of those
Everybody's
punches.
tough until
Right,
you get punched in the face, says Iron Mike Tyson. You know
right.
that's I got a lot to talk about today. We just did the Limelight show. Everything was great. Not beforehand, but as we got going on, you realize, man, a lot of learning, a lot of great flow of what this television production is going to be about. The idea of it, but that brought back some quick memories, because it's like we had this, you know, Master Joseph Rivera, and he's wrestled with us before, but he's a black belt and he teaches students, and he got a lot of students and families to come to this show. And I want to give a shout out to him for being the man that he said he was going to be in promotion. And I'm very excited to work more with him, because we'd worked with him before. But I just remember at the start of the show, one of the wrestlers in the arm wrestling segment, when this happened, as he was leaving, and I don't want to mention his name, but when he was leaving, we had to talk about it. It's like, here's this guy who's selling a lot of tickets. He could legitimately kick someone's ass with his feet, right? And as he's walking by him on the way to the back, he slaps him in the face. And then the martial artist retaliates with a pro wrestling shot back, a safe one. And it's a safe exchange, but the heel gets the better of the martial arts guy, who has 40 fucking people at the show, and they all got his t-shirt on for his studio. And he's coming out later to do something to Bad News. And we're trying to work with this guy in the future, which we are. And I just told the guy, I said, hey, you're the heel. You can't walk by the guest that's out in the segment and just paintbrush him in the face for no reason. And it's like, how do you use these local talents and celebrities outside of the business, which this one happens to be lucky. But I think you said it, or maybe Sparky said it to me. They're like, hey man, maybe Doc, but they're like, don't they know that the guest superstar always goes over? You know what I mean? Whether he wins or loses, he's always going over. So I mean, just that was a case where I saw that happen in one of the many things I saw. And then we turn around and see this, and we're like, holy shit.
Right. I thought you were going to make a comment about you got to know who you're dealing with, because this is a fucking black belt and this dude could kick your ass. So you got to be careful about who you're putting your hands on. I thought you were going to make a comment like that.
Well, that too, but the guy's such a nice guy that, and the thing about the situation was too, as I was walking back from the segment with the guy, I was like, he's like, goddamn motherfucker, cheap shot at me. And I was like, oh, this might be real. So I was really walking with him. And when we got to the back, he was, hey, what's up, man? What's up? And then we all got together and talked about it. And I was one thing I wanted to talk about was, making a save, right? What is making a save in wrestling? And it's like if you're getting beat down, the equivalent to being in a one-on-one fight outside at the bar or whatever, and then somebody else jumps in or that guy's beating you up very badly, and it's just like this. Just, making a save on the poor asshole that got slammed by Rampage Jackson's son. It's like you have to be in trouble in order. That's the reason I run out to make that save. So if I run out to make that save and you're back up on your feet next to me, it takes away everything from why I ran out there to make that save. I'm running out to save you because you're in trouble. You know what I mean?
Right. You can't just pop up and be like, I'm okay now. I'm fighting next to my buddy. Yeah. So I think that's important to understand in those situations for sure. I think, a lot of times you're thinking about you're making a save in a tag match is kind of what pops into my head. And it's like, I'm making a save because my tag partner is not going to kick out or is getting his ass kicked or whatever. And I need to try to even the odds, or I need to try to sway the odds back where we can get at least back to even. Yeah. So it doesn't happen just immediately. I'm in there and my partner pops right back up. Now he's not getting his ass kicked anymore.
Well, so many times in the business, we sit here and we go, oh man, wrestling's 50-50 now. And then we say, well, there's no babies and there's no heels no more. We're in this fucking gray area. And those reasons are simple. First off, the heel puts the bad guy puts all the fucking heat on the referee nowadays. So the ref has no chance of having any fucking authority at all. So he has no control in the ring. And basically, in turn, there's no rules because everyone, like every ref has their own, like, I let him do the 10 punches in the corner. I go out there and get him and break up the 10 count. I love to see it when the guy rolls in, just kind of rolls in the ring and rolls back out of the ring, and that breaks the count up. It's like, that doesn't break the count up. If the referee, have you ever heard of a fucking double count out? Why is there a situation where a guy scrambles to dive back in the ring before 10 and beats the other guy? If he can just, does it make sense? I'm going to roll under the rope real quick and then roll back out and the ref will stop the count and I can get going again. That's the laziest fucking excuse and thing I've ever seen in my life, because you roll back in the ring and roll back. The ref's not going to stop the count. I could see you rolling back in the ring and you stopping the count yourself and then going back outside. But we've gotten in this society of wrestling where it's just fucking details out the window, right? It's like, I'm fucking lazy. Okay. Hey, I'm going to start telling my refs, unless they physically get up and stop this count and make you restart, keep counting. Fuck them, right? Fuck them. Let's get some real finishes in here. And that's some stuff that may. But another thing is, like, I've seen baby faces run out to the ring to make a save, like especially at AEW, and then the heels are still standing in the ring and beat the fucking dog bark off them. And it's like, what'd you run out there for? At least you could run out there and put up a good fight and then get beat down.
Right.
But there's no action, a run in from a baby face the other guy doesn't sell, or a run in, he gets his fucking ass handed to him, or a run in where maybe the heels fucking powder out and learn to, maybe I'll save the fight another day. Heat put on a guy the proper way, like we just saw Rampage's son do. I mean, man, he was really putting the heat on that wrestler to the point where there's probably going to be some assault charges and some jail time coming up here. But just, there's no baby and there's no heel, because there's all the situations that could make this happen that happen organically in the ring for the last 75 to 100 years in wrestling have just been shooed to the wayside. The counts don't matter. The run-ins don't matter. The saves don't matter. The heat doesn't matter. And then these guys, everyone's trying to figure out how to build a baby, but nobody's getting anybody over. Nobody's getting anybody over. That's the name of the fucking show, right? going over. And that's exactly what people look at it as, like, I'm winning. I don't want to lose. This is going to really damage my character. No, if I get in the ring and pick you up and knock you unconscious and hit you with about 15 to 20 chin strikes with my balled up fist, and the entire locker room has to come out but still can't contain me, yeah, that's going to damage your character. That will damage your character right there. But the heels are meant to lose, motherfucker. A heel champion is just somebody that's got that belt, so a big baby face can come back around to eventually beat him for that. And then that heel, if he's good enough, is going to go on to the next guy he's got to get over. Duh.
Right. Exactly. I don't know. We talk about it all the time, just about the 50-50, the way that things are booked, 50-50, and and I always think about that in the terms of selling, right? You're not registering, or you're not selling anything while you're on offense, because for some reason you've forgotten that you were just getting your ass kicked 20 seconds ago, for several minutes. So yeah, I don't quite understand what's going on, but I guess the hopes are that this big seminar that they just had is gonna magically change a lot of things. Like I'm interested to hear other people's perspective on what they got out of the seminar. I'm interested to see matches that go on from right now, for the next several months, to see, like, what are people putting into practice that they learned, from being in a seminar for 8 hours with a lot of talented people and a lot of guys with a lot of knowledge. But as much as we heard that stuff, we were also hearing the same thing about a lot of basics were taught. So maybe not a lot of the storyline, character stuff. Maybe all that stuff wasn't the things that people took away from it. Maybe people took away, I need to work on my lockup. I need to work on taking a headlock. I need to work on basic stuff rather than tag wrestling where you have 2 ropes open or something. Like the basics that we think about different. Different stations that were in that seminar. I don't know exactly what we're going to see, but I'm excited to see that hopefully things change for the better, and we eliminate some of the stuff that you're talking about. We don't have the the people that are saying, oh, well, I don't want to lose, my character's going to suffer or whatever. Hopefully we have people that are all about, we're telling this story, and hopefully it's a little more long-term stuff. So hopefully we have that type of stuff going on moving forward. So I guess time will tell.
Well, there's the basics of wrestling, like like I was talking. Ugly started sending me some stuff because we were talking about, me and him were talking about the tackle, and then here pretty soon, I want to get down there. I know he's down at the Oregon Pro Wrestling School, but I want to get down there when he's down there.
Right.
Like, that's what I was telling him on the phone, is I want to get down there when you're down there. I want to work with you. It's like Creed told Rocky in Creed 1, hey man, what's going on? I want to work with you, man. He's like, this is how I operate. I'm older. I can't hold the gloves like this anymore. These are good people. These are good people. But we get to these situations, and yeah, cool, cool seminar. You know what I mean? Good for everybody. But at the end of the day, we can only work with the people that want us to work with them. You know what I mean? That want the knowledge. That's what was cool at the end of Limelight, is I'm talking to a lot of people about a lot of stuff, and I got wrestlers standing around me. Brick was sitting right next to me too, in the locker room afterwards, and we're talking to guys, and I'm telling guys like, hey, you cheated 3 times right in front of the ref. Don't get caught, or get caught once. And I don't know how many times I have to implement, because I've been trying to do this for a couple months now, where I'm implementing. And like, one thing with Sparky was, me and Arsonist, because I took the heat in the match in the 6-man. We had the fans were ready for the tag, and I couldn't. All I wanted to tell him was I'm going to run to the corner to tag, catch me, and we're gonna go to what we're gonna go home. And he cut me off with something else, and I yelled no, and then I looked over at Sparky. I said, "Come here," and he came down, and I was able to, because we were more than an arm length away from each other. So I talk about it verbatim. I say, stay connected, mostly so we can communicate as well, and there's no pouring water holes in these gaps. And I told Sparky after, because Sparky, he came up with that whole wild, crazy, chaotic finish like Sparky did. And I know Sparky can do stuff like, I can't wait to have him on Wednesday, but I know I know he wants to be more hands-on, and he's so good at it. He's not just a referee. He's everything. That's the man right there. And I told him afterwards, while he's giving me some nuggets, I said, hey, when you see two wrestlers too far apart from each other, like if they're not close enough that they can turn down there, a double down, whatever it is, and communicate, then get down there and ask them, check on them real quick, because there's probably a message that needs to be relayed. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a good piece of advice. And I'm like, that's stuff that we learn. And I also want to admit to a guilty pleasure in that match. When Don Stockton grabbed me in a headlock, and I want to apologize to everybody out there in advance. It didn't look bad, but I brought him off the ropes and shot him across the ring to eat a tackle. And I sit on this program and say, why would we take a guy back? And that's the thing, man. Own up to your fault, Paul, and I did it. It looked good. So it can look good. It can look good, but I mean, logically, when I'm thinking about it, why? So I have work to do too after 26 years. So if you're listening out there in YouTube land and you're want to be informed and learn about pro wrestling, yes, I fuck up, and I also own my mistakes. So maybe I'm a little harsh on some stuff, but I'm also trying to marinate it and make sure things are looking real. So there's your apology respectfully to everybody. I fucked up to it.
Man, it's amazing that you say that right now, because yesterday we had this exact conversation, right? We're like, all right, we're gonna finish off training with taking 4 tackles and feed up the right way and get in the right spot. And the first part happens, the guy grabs the headlock, the guy runs him back halfway across the ring to take him back to the middle, to now shoot him off, to now watch him come in and tackle him. And I'm asking that question, exactly what you're just talking about. Why would you, instead of just shooting the guy from the middle of the ring to the rope, stumbling in like your equilibrium is off and the guy catches you off guard with a tackle, why would you escort him back halfway across the ring to bring him back halfway to the middle to now shoot him off, to now stand there and watch the guy run at you and tackle you? And we were getting some interesting responses like, oh, well, it would be easier to do this. And I'm like, the guy's grip isn't loosening because you're pushing him back to the ropes. It's not getting any looser than it would if you just shot him off from the middle and say, well, I'm not strong enough to just push him off out of the middle. I was like, then why are you strong enough to push this guy all the way back to the ropes and bring him all the way back to the middle of the ring to shoot him off? Like, nothing has changed as far as this guy's grip. You haven't loosened his grip one bit. I said, you need to fight with the guy's hands. You need to hit the guy in the gut, step on his toe. You need to make him focus on something else besides this side headlock, so you can get out of it. So it's refreshing to say that you made that error. And we were just
I do make that error quite a bit. and I realize that. But when you're in there with some younger talent and you're moving around on the fly, I will admit I can see how that error can be made. But I don't want to sit here. I am coaching it this way. I am harping on this shit this way. And then I get in the ring and I make that mistake and I want to own up to it. Because if I don't own up to it, then I'm just full of shit. You know what I mean? And a lot of this stuff that we do is we're trying to improve as we go on, because that's what wrestling is learning the basics of this stuff and then making it your own. And I tell my guys that all the time. I'm like, we're learning the basics and making it our own. One thing today, I'm very excited about a scenario, a situation I'm going to do here in just a couple hours at class today. One thing I was doing too in there, I was trying to get the guy to lure Sparky back because I was in the corner with two bigger guys, and it was like I wanted that shot, I wanted that shot, I wanted that shot, I wanted that shot, and I win the fight in the corner. And as I'm selling and they're selling for me, but not too much, I come out of the corner and I get leveled. And then maybe I get leveled or are thrown back in the corner. And then now they both start getting their double team in. So the fans see me fight out of this situation. And that's what the hope is, right? Wink, wink, wink. That's what the hope is, that I'm going to get out of this corner. And I've fought my ass off to get out of this corner in this 6-man tag scenario. And as soon as I step out, I can get cut down. And now I'm in the corner cut down and somebody else can come in. Or the guy grabs me and runs me right back to the corner. And now the abuse from everybody, even the guy that puts me in the corner, and the refs go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they break off. And the refs like, you know what, guys? If I catch you doing this again, you're all disqualified. And now there's authority in the match. So I think it's just the situation and what we want the fans to, how we want the fans to perceive wrestling. But I mean, there can be heels and there can be baby faces. There can. I've seen it. I see it all the time. And my focus is getting these guys back to that situation so the referees can have authority and we can have guys drawing heat, putting guys over, and we can establish new baby faces that in turn hopefully can run around this territory we have here and draw some money at some of these shows, man. Like fill up some 300-400 seat buildings off the back of a guy that the online audience locally, which there's a very close niche in that, can walk into RWF and can walk into Next Level and West Coast Pro and Ugly Dojo and SPW and all these places, and then go, fuck, this guy's getting popular. We need him on our card. So, or this is a good heel that can come in. Primetime can come in and get one of our baby faces over and then leave.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that it's lost, right? That idea is lost in today's wrestling. We don't have that. We don't have the. I feel like it's partially because we view the fan as short attention span. I want to see something happen right now. They don't have, we view it as, they don't have the attention span to focus on a storyline for several months or a longer period of time. They'll forget what's going on or whatever. And it's like I feel like we don't give them the credit that they deserve, because a perfect example is Dale Clifford, the guy that does our records our shows, and he's got his YouTube show, and he's got his show here on the local cable channel. And I don't know, it baffles me sometimes, because he's just like, this match makes sense because this guy beat this guy 8 months ago or whatever. And I was like, shit, I totally forgot about that. But he remembers, he's the wrestling fan that we're catering to, the guys that are kind of that are paying attention or involved, excited about the different storyline stuff, and have their favorite wrestler, and they're going to tell you about like why something makes sense because of something that happened several months ago, why you can put this thing together. So I think we have to give the fans a little bit more credit, and go, and make sure that we think they're gonna be paying attention to something that's gonna span several months or a year, where they can follow along and get involved in the storyline that's going on, and be excited. So, and I feel like I was telling someone that at this last show, a fan, right? It's like, oh, or is it going to be the same people that I saw, 18 months ago or something like that? And I think, well, it's going to be some of the same guys. Some of them are going to be different. And I said, I like to try to do things that are going to tell a story over a longer period of time. And then you're going to tell some sort of story that's going on within this show, just in case this is the first time that someone's there. They understand that there's some storytelling throughout the night. Maybe something happens first thing in the show, and it leads to something that happens later on in the show. So, some short-term storytelling to go along with some long-term storytelling, so we can really establish, good guys and bad guys. And, I think about when you run a charity show or something along those lines, where you're not going to have a lot of quote unquote wrestling fans, but you're going to have people there that you want to tell a story and make sure that they know, like, you're going to be able to follow along with this. There's going to be good versus evil, you're going to be able to cheer for one guy and you're going to be able to boo the other guy. And hopefully in most situations, it's going to be obvious which guy you should like and which guy you shouldn't like, so getting a little bit of all of those things in your show, I think, is important.
100%. But the story, man, it's a dedicated thing. One time I was talking to a guy and he said, my goal is to go here, but I want to help all these other local talents get better. He wanted to open up his own school, pretty much. And I said, well, you're going to have to figure out what you want. Do you want to chase the dream, or is this what you're okay with doing? Because if you cannot commit to the program, if you cannot commit to coaching these guys, if you cannot commit to running your own promotion, and your but what you want is for yourself, hey, you gotta tell me what you want. I can't coach you until you don't tell me what your goals are. And we talk about that all the time. We also talk about repetition, routine, and repetition. And I love when I see guys, because I'm looking at everybody online that go, oh man, it's about I gotta keep doing this, right? I gotta keep taking this arm drag. I gotta keep doing this heel bump. Yes, you do. I had a student who took an arm drag for the first time, and he's been around a while. And he was so hard on himself because of the Beal that he took, the way you got to take it all there. The pro drag has so much. It's so easy when you do it, but there's so much that goes into it. It's like you're feeding around. As soon as you step on your right leg, you're grabbing the collarbone and pinching behind the back. And as soon as everything touches, that right leg's coming up for the Beal bump. So it's actually easy if you get the timing. But the timing's so hard with all these things that you got to connect on. If you don't put your hand on their back for the post and you just grab the collarbone, you're going to go this way and you're going to swing sideways. And I realize too, that's why a lot of people hook arms for a do-si-do. They do that because in turn, really, it is a better connection. I'll give them that. But there's no reason why you would do that. So like that becomes my problem. But then you see somebody do it and you're like, oh, well, they can do that right. And then you're trying to show them. And I can see where that got out of control. It got out of hand because the Ricky Steamboat arm drag is actually fucking hard. And it actually comes from real pro wrestling. The collar and to elbow tie up. So if these guys don't know how to tie up properly and they don't know why the fuck you're grabbing the collar and that it stands for control, and if you get let go of it and a guy gets 2 collars on you, then geez, now he's in control of this wrestling match. So everything happens because of one thing. We lose sight of what pro wrestling really is, why we're doing this, and then we start doing modifications on moves that seem easier because we're just doing moves now. We're just doing moves. So yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna whip you off the rope, and I'm just gonna duck my head down to the fucking ground like a cop had arrested me and been like, I will let you go if you can put your palms on the cement without bending your knees. And he whips. I had to get one of those in. So you see the guy whip the guy into the ring, and he just puts his head down, like, go ahead and jump over and sunset flip. And I'm thinking logically, oh, you ain't going for a backdrop or something like that? Like, if you're gonna tuck your head down to the ground so you can't see, why on earth would I hit you with a swinging neck breaker? Why would I dive over the top of you in hopes that I'm gonna roll you up? I'm gonna kick you right in the chest or right in the fucking face, right? That's why I'm gonna do that. And maybe the guy's smart enough that when he does it and you kick, I lured you in. I lured you in, dummy. But just little things like that. And you watch some of these reversals and you watch some of these whips where they got the guy already back in the rope and they jump out and stop. And then they start going. It's like, you got no momentum. You have none. Or I love when the guy's in the corner and they lean into him or even wind him up and lean into him in the corner and whip him out. It's like, that's a stopper, bud. You're going to have to grab this guy's hand 2-on-1 wrist control and start running backwards and getting your momentum. And the reversal happens because as you're going by, I lift my hand to push on your back. And as I do that, I've lost the 2-on-1 wrist control. So you swing around and now you have 2-on-1 wrist control. And now I'm trying to bring my hand down to get, but I'm already going by you. So these scenarios that we talk about, we're trying to coach these and people are just uninterested until you're showing them, until Oliver John's in the ring or Tim Thatcher or just anybody is showing them like, hey man, you really got to do this. And they go, oh, fuck, I never knew that. Yeah, I know you never knew that because it's not being instructed to you because we can just show you this other way because people go, oh, wrestling's changing, right? Get with the times, Zach. You're a fucking dinosaur. You're stuck back in the 80s. No, I'm not. They might have put a pitch counter in between the pitches in Major League Baseball to make the game go faster and more stolen bases, right? But the game still played the same. We're still 9 innings unless it's tied and we go to extras. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still go to overtime in basketball if I have more points than you do. So we win. The game is still played. You still got to get 1, 2, 3 or submit the guy. What's fucking changed? What has changed about this scenario? Can you answer that for me? Because I'm still pretty sure we want to win and we don't want to lose, right?
Absolutely. There is no change when it comes to that type of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, you think about the old school wrestling and you think about how it was normally about, like, I think about my favorite wrestling matches to watch, and it always has to do with working a body part. It's like they're telling a story. I'm trying to wear down this body part so I can win by pinning the guy or submitting the guy with that body part. It's not about how many cool flashy moves I can do, right? It's about telling the story so the fans can go, oh, he's weakening this body part so the other guy can't use it against him. I think about, like, if as many times as people have worked with me and they think, oh, well, I'll just work your leg. And it's like, well, my leg isn't what's hurting you when I choke slam you. What's hurting you is me grabbing you around the neck and lifting you up and slamming you onto the ground. So how about you work on something that's going to prevent me from being able to do that to you? You know, and I feel it's all, well, I can't work your right hand. It's like, why the fuck not? Why not? You would, that's what you would logically want to do, isn't it? You know, we get too caught up, I think, sometimes in going, oh well, we got to work to the left, guys. We got to work to the left. And I remember Ty Dillinger working with a young Jack Swagger, and he's like, "You're going for an ankle lock on the left ankle, right?" And he's like, "Well, of course, yeah, that's my finisher." It's like, well, but if you're in an MMA fight and there's another body part available, you'd probably attack that too, right? It's like, oh, of course, right? It's like, it's common sense, right? The guy knows you're trying to go for his left ankle, so he's trying to protect that, so you're not going to get to it. So lure him in, right? Go for a different body part. Now the body part that you want to get to is open and available and vulnerable, right? Because he's not thinking you're going for that because you're focused on something else. So just the storytelling is missing. I feel like this is a broken record on my part. You know, I feel like I talk about this nearly every podcast at some point, that the storytelling is missing, right? We're not telling that story like they used to, right? When wrestling was great, when we look at wrestling and say, man, this is my favorite era of wrestling. What got me hooked on wrestling was the storytelling, the good versus evil, knowing who to cheer for, who to boo, you know, before it was everyone wants to be a cool heel. So I don't know, man. I think that's the thing that I want to get back to, is the storytelling, and why are you doing certain things, and why does it make sense? And so I feel like I'm like that in training a lot more, you know, nowadays. You know, I'm more recently I'm asking those questions, and I think we talked about it before. Why would you transition from having a guy in a hammerlock that you could tear his shoulder out to pulling him into a headlock, right? Give me a rational reason that you would switch those holds, right? A guy's getting out of this, so I need to transition, right? So that's why I'm asking these questions. Does it make sense for you to be standing in the center of the ring and you're going to push the guy off the ropes? Does it make sense that you run him back halfway back to the center before you push him off? Does that do anything to loosen this guy's grip? You know, trying to make sense of things is kind of my focus lately.
Well, if you're working another good worker, that stuff's not going to happen.
Right.
So we do these things, because we're making things easier to work with the guy that we're working with to run it smoother, right? And we talk about the storytelling. There's nothing wrong with doing the moves if they're done at the right time. And they're like, oh, he's saying don't choreograph. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, listen, that's one thing I picked up with Dickie this weekend. Dickie Dakin he's like, I'm hearing it. And he really was, because it led all the way to the end. And he was hot when he came in, like all night. He heard it. He's hearing it now. And that's been my main focus, because fundamentally he's so good. And I'm just like, you got to hear it. You got to hear it. You got to get comfortable. And little by little by little by little. And now he's hearing it. And I saw program in action, baby. But what I'm saying is, hey, man, AEW, right? Let's just use them as an example. Cool. You want to do all that shit. You got a fan base for it. Go for it. But just do that then. Because you know what sucks? They're acting. They're angles. They don't understand how to build and get people over. So make it a competitive wrestling league. Keep your fucking records. 46-2. He's on a 15-match win streak. You know, that's fine. You know, that was the whole idea from Tony Khan. We're going to make this like real sports. Cool. Make it like real fucking sports. But don't slip into the entertainment side of this and storytelling side of this, because it sucks. The acting sucks. The promos suck. I have HBO Max now on my Prime, and I realize that I can watch Dynamite. So I put it on and I start watching it, and I go, I am so lost. I am lost because I'm watching all these multi-man matches and all these fucking run-ins and saves, and I don't know who the fuck is on whose team. I don't know what the fuck is going on. All I know is there's a bunch of fucking moves going on, and then these fucking uh modern day wrestlers then all of a sudden transition into backstage segments and angles and storytelling, and I'm going, what? This is bad. But the movement in the ring is good. Which one are you going to do? You're good at one, but you're overkilling it. Who cares? That's what your fan base likes. Give them that. But but when you try to slip over and do the WWE entertainment type shit, you're not very good at it. So what is going to make your company stand out? Fucking make it just a competitive wrestling company that we can watch on national television. We don't need to see Nick Wayne's mom. You know what I mean? Some people do because she's got big tits. Cool. But whatever floats your boat. There's Vicky Guerrero, right? Get her in a Vicky Guerrero type situation. Excuse me. That got over. Where it's all we're trying to do is get stuff over. But, and WWE in the same sense. They're going to give you that big match when it's time to give you that big match. When it's time to go 30 minutes, when it matters, you're going to get that. Other than that, WWE is going to give you entertainment. And I heard someone say the other day, one company gives you too much and the other company doesn't give you enough. And we got to find that balance. WWE has the talent to give you that mixture of what I love about wrestling. The entertainment, storytelling, and the competitive wrestling with the characters in the ring. AEW can give you that competitive, in your face, fucking 100-mile-per-hour fucking wrestling all day long. Cardio kids, you know what I mean? But they don't have the ability to give us quality entertainment storytelling programming. And that's something that they're going to have to work on, but they're going to have to figure out, which one do we want to fucking do? Do you want a guy on your show? You can do all these spots, but I don't need two guys on my show doing all these spots. I need to separate this shit. If everybody's going out there doing fuck tornado DET, who gives a shit? Now we've just taken an actual move that could be a finisher and we've eliminated it off our company. You know what I mean? Fuck that. Don't even matter in our promotion anymore. Sorry.
No, that's all good, man. I mean, it just reminds me of where you have, I don't even know if it was back in the day, but it was like, when you have a wrestling school and you're telling people to come in, be in shape, have a gym membership, all these different things, and people want to be like, oh, well, what about King Kong Bundy? Or, they give you an example of a giant guy that's not in shape per se, right? The unique look guy, I would say, right? It's like, yeah, just like you're saying, you can't have a roster full of that guy, right? Because it's like, it doesn't work. You have to have variety. You have to have the guys that can do the high flying. You remember when it was like that, where you had, I don't want to say it was your specialty, but you had a couple of high flyers, you had a couple of big giant fat guys, you had, the tall guys, you had the amateur wrestling guys, you had you just had different characters that did different things. You didn't have what I call cookie cutter pro wrestlers where everyone's the same size, they have the same move set, everyone does the same stuff. So there's I've mentioned over the past several training sessions, if you can go out there and chain wrestle for 5 to 10 minutes to start a match, you're going to stand out, because there just isn't that much people that are doing that. I feel like we've missed the 5-minute mark in the last couple podcasts because we've just been on a roll. But
I didn't want to interrupt Ugly. I didn't want to interrupt Ugly with that.
right.
I thought he was watching the programming too. Like I
Oh.
thought he was going to look up and be like, guys, by the way, I've been watching this programming. 5 minutes remaining. Your podcast.
Oh yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see if people start catching on to the 5 minutes of doom. But yeah, man, it's just you just have to have a little bit of all these different things. You can't have the cookie cutter. Everyone does the same move set and looks exactly the same. You know, you're the stereotypical, and I've used this reference before, but it's like, you know, you're a college basketball coach and you have thousands of kids wanting to get recruited, but they're, you know, 6'1", 175. It's like, well, I have 10,000 6'1", 175 kids. But what I do need is I need a 6'8", 225. I need a 7 foot, you know, 245, 250 guy. You know, I need some variety. I need some guys that can do specialized things, right? So you don't need a
100%.
roster full of high flyers. You don't need a roster full of bad news Blakesley, because then it's just, you know, you don't really have the dynamic that you're looking for, the yin versus yang type of thing, you know. So I don't know if people understand that or if it matters. You have two guys that are wrestling the exact same style, and it's like, you know, what's special about you? That goes back to the Edlo. What can you do that someone else can't do? You know, that way I can differentiate. I can give you a little bump in pay or whatever because you bring something to the card that I don't already have.
Yeah, and if you're entertaining, like here's the thing, if you're in shape and athletic, but you're not entertaining and don't understand storytelling and have no character, I can't teach you that. But if you're an
Right.
out of shape guy who's entertaining and already has a character, and you're like, fuck, this guy's entertaining. He's just a fucking slob. You know what I mean? We can get the slob in shape. We
Right.
can't teach the other guy how to be charismatic. So it's like, cool, dude. You guys are athletic. We got a whole roster of everybody that's wearing the same type. That's what I hate about the women's wrestling a lot is they all look like they're just using the same type of, you know what I mean? They all got that little strap thing that's under the butt now, and they got over. It looks like they're all like wearing the same stuff but different colors, and it sets them apart. That's why Rhea Ripley stands out. That's why Bianca Belair, she's got that. She's smart. She got that long hair. She stands out. You know, Toni Storm standing out because she's on the fucking programming, sniffing girls and biting their vaginas. You know what I mean, and talking differently. And then Mercedes Moné is out there with fucking piped in fucking CEO music, and the crowd doesn't give two shits. And she's got fucking 25 belts strapped all over her little body. And I don't even know what belts those are. I don't give a shit. They're not being defended. And all that's doing is just whatever company she's taking those belts for, she's not elevating those belts. That company might as well just give up their women's division because she's running around with an Owen Hart tournament belt.
Oh,
Like, think about this. She won a belt, which is a prize. Nobody else is carrying their belt around. Okay, I won this belt. It's my prize. I'm here with Martha Hart. Thank you for my prize that I'm going to take home and put on my mantle. And now I get my title defense. I mean, my title shot because I won this tournament and this prize. Well, she won the fucking belt. And then she went to get her title shot against Toni Storm and lost at All Out or whatever the fuck it was. Okay, why are you still carrying the belt around? It was for a number one contendership, and you fucking lost. What do you got the belt for? Put it in your fucking mantle. Why are you carrying it around? You're carrying around a belt that you failed. You failed. That was a number one contendership belt. You failed. Guys, I'm sorry. We're running out of time. For Zack Primetime Reeb and a 7-foot wrecking ball. Hey, guys, fucking subscribe. We're going over.